Tim Freedman's show is now playing in Melbourne after a successful run in Sydney, and he's with us here now. Tim Freedman, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Where did the fascination with Harry Nilsson begin for you?
That wonderful voice in Everybody's Talking and Without You, and then hearing the references to this fellow that drank with John Lennon and Keith Moon and this rabble-raiser. And then a wonderful biography came out on him 2 years ago, and I became a bit of an expert and found the songs challenging and interesting to sing, and so off I went.
He was a very complicated man, wasn't he? I was reading about him this morning. He had a bit of stage fright going on. He didn't quite like getting up there and performing those great songs.
Well, indeed, he was always in the studio, and the show's sort of about why didn't Harry sing live? And so this is sort of... He wanders into his den at midnight, has his first drink, he's 50, he'll be dead in a few years, and he does the concert in a way that he never did live. He had a bit of stage fright. He always got a lot of money from the early days from his songwriting. He didn't need to go out and play. And I think maybe also he would have had trouble recreating the magic of the studio because he didn't look after himself. Yeah,
that prodigious drinking, that was always an issue for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he liked to drink a little bit more than the next fellow. That was his problem, yes.
When you see someone singing with their eyes closed, I think you immediately know that you have someone who has a slightly complex relationship with the audience and the stage. But he had one of those natural great voices. It was an easy, high, light voice. He had a beautiful upper range as well, and he seemed to deliver it with, as I say, great ease. Was music and was singing for him something that came to him easily?
Yeah, he was one of those preternaturally talented people. He didn't have a break between his head voice and his falsetto, as you say.
Yeah,
and that moment where he goes up the octave and I can live if live. That moment is one of the... You still get prickles when you hear him hit that note in that beautiful ballad from 1971. It's one of those moments, yes.
He was admired and loved by lots of music stars. You mentioned John Lennon. The Beatles were great fans of him, and he and John Lennon and also Ringo Starr became drinking buddies and playmates in the early 1970s in a rather destructive way too. Yeah,
it was Harry and John that coined that phrase, the lost weekend, when John left Yoko, and great mates with Keith Moon, Alice Cooper. They used to just hit it for 3 days in LA. And
we can see in the pictures here.
I mean, he sounds like he was great company, and I'm just sorry I never got to have a session with him.
There's a great story about Harry Nilsson and John Lennon going to a nightclub, I think, in LA, and John being introduced to Brandy Alexander's, and one thing led to another, and it didn't end all that well.
Heckling the Smothers Brothers, who were very particular comedy and very funny, and they ruined their timing and they were rude. They shouldn't have done it.
Look, we know about the demons that drove John Lennon. What were the demons driving Harry Nilsson?
It is suggested that his father leaving him when he was very young always affected him, and alcoholism ran in his family, and he became very dissipated, and one thing led to another.
Did he ever have a true love or great partnership in his life?
He was married 3 times, once briefly and once for a couple of years in the early 70s to have his first son. But then he met this wonderful Irish girl in an ice cream parlour and had 5 kids. So I think the 80s was really just Dad heading down to the bar and tickling children and opening cheques from the mail. And it was
the royalties would have been something else.
Yeah. He had some problems later on and actually saved himself because he bought some land in the Hunter Valley in the 80s. He thought, oh, this will go quite well, this wine region. And so when he got into business trouble, he came out here and sold that, and he was OK for the last few years
of
his life.
Dracula going to the blood bank.
Just a
Harry
little
Nilsson in the vineyard.
Now, tell us about your work. What are you up to at the moment? Are you writing any songs of your own?
The Whitlams are going around the country in September. We'll have a couple of new ones. But I'm really concentrating on Harry. Have to be in good form to hit some of these notes. And I'm enjoying treading the boards and the smell of grease paint.
As they say. Do they still use grease paint? They haven't sort of upgraded to high-def makeup?
Oh, I just whack a bit of foundation on myself.
Yes, you'll be right.
I'll get there.
Nice to see you, Tim.
Thanks for having me in.
Good luck with the show. It really looks interesting. Fantastic.
Thank
you. Tim Freedman there, who is starring in Everybody's Talking About Me, which is the story of Harry Nilsson.